time to fuel your business success. Welcome to Harmonious at Lunch. We're bringing you bite-sized advice and expert conversations to drive clarity and growth 5 days a week. Make sure you join our Facebook group at humanop.com/lunch, where listeners like you and our guests hang out so we can find harmony in business together. If you're building a business, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Welcome back in. Some more Harmonious at Lunch. And today's episode, we're going to talk about building powerful daily habits for lifelong success. I was talking to our guest before we started recording here, and it's one of those things it's so strikingly simple that I can't wait to unpack it and see how you then listening or watching this can take this and apply it to your life literally today, right after you listen to this episode. So Dennis Henson, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Brandon, for having me. I'm excited about being here. So
this is potentially a big topic, right? Building a daily habit for lifelong success. Like, don't panic, but there's a lot riding on this one habit. Tell me what is the habit? Because it's actually, what is the habit and how did you stumble across it? Because I think it's amazingly simple, like I said in the intro.
Sure. I'm an investor. I've been investing in real estate for 50 years. And I moved to Texas 35 years ago. And I was being a very successful real estate investor, but I wanted to learn more. So I thought I'll go to real estate groups. There's a lot of real estate groups in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Unfortunately, I live in Arlington, and it's an hour drive to Dallas or to Fort Worth to where the groups were. So I thought, well, I'll start my own business, my own group. Then I can have any speaker that I want. I can learn whatever I want, and I can teach so I can learn by teaching. So I started the group, and one day one of the members came up and said, I want you to mentor me. I've watched you. I know you're successful. I'm retiring, and I want you to mentor me. And I said, well, I really don't have time to do that. I'm running this group. I'm investing in real estate. And he said, well, let's have lunch and we'll talk about it. So to make a long story short, he handed me a checkbook and said, fill out the amount. And I filled out an amount I didn't think he would pay. And that's when I started teaching. He signed it and handed it back to me. And so I thought, well, I can make as much money doing this as doing a real estate deal if someone's willing to pay. Well, the students just lined up. I had hundreds of students, and they became extremely successful. So podcasts were just getting started. This was about 8 years ago. And there was a Houston podcast on real estate. And they had me as a guest. And the host said, Dennis, there are a lot of gurus out there, but your students seem to really blossom. What's the difference? Why are your students so extremely successful? And I said, well, if they change their habits, I haven't changed their habits, if they change their habits to success habits, then they will become successful. Then he said, what's the number one success habit? And I thought for a second and said, they need to form the habit of reading something positive every day that leads them toward their goal. In this case, the goal would be real estate, but it really doesn't matter what the goal is. It could be anything. But if they read something positive that leads them in the direction of their goal, that does two things. One, it reminds them of their goal every day so they don't get off track. And two, it motivates them and helps them to become more educated about the thing that they really want in life. So after the podcast was over, I thought, man, wouldn't it be great if there were a tool of some kind, one that would help people form that habit. Then I realized, wait a minute, Dennis, for 50 years, you've been collecting the most the books that inspire you most, so you could use them with your students. You've been collecting poems and quotes, and you can put all of these things together, short stories, poems, quotes, and books. And then regardless of a person's time, if they have 5 minutes, they can read a poem. If they have 30 minutes, they can read a short story. If they have an hour and a half, they can read one of the accompanying books. If they get home at night and they think, I forgot to read today, They can read a quote 2 or 3 seconds and go to sleep thinking about something positive that moves them toward the goal. So I thought, well, I've got all this stuff already in my computer. I'll put it together and I'll have a book in 2 months. This was in 2018. And I started working on it. I worked on it every single day until 2024. So it took 6 years. I just had too much material. I had to narrow it down so it would fit in a useful book. If I had put all the material I had, it would have been, you couldn't have picked the book up because I've been collecting for so long. So what ended up was a very powerful book. So if you go to Amazon and look at the reviews, you'll see what people think. You know, it's a 5-star rated book and people just raving about the impact that it's having on their life and how quickly things started to change for them. So I hope everybody will, give it a chance. I know it works because it really worked for my students.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because especially in today's time, we're staring at our phones all the time. We're numbing ourselves with TV and Netflix, and reading we know is important. We have sayings like readers are leaders are readers, right? So we understand that this is an important skill, but a lot of people put it by the wayside and we scroll instead, and that's not consuming positive information, like you said. So help me understand, someone who reads a little but not every day, or maybe someone who doesn't read at all. How do we really start this habit so that it's sustainable and incorporate it into our daily schedule?
But that's the beauty of this book. It wasn't meant to be read from cover to cover. If you think about, let's just take the Bible. If you pick the Bible up and read it from cover to cover, it's probably not going to have a major impact on you because you went through too fast. Well, some things are meant to be contemplated. And this book is written in such a way that you don't have to read very far because the things that are in here are so impactful. You can read a little bit and get motivated and just contemplate that. Live on that for today and then read something different the next day. But the overall effect of the book is this. It makes it really simple to form a new habit. Now, a habit is something you can do without thinking about. You're just going to do it because it's already ingrained in your subconscious. But the hard thing, people think, oh, I don't want to start a new habit. Your subconscious will say that. Don't start a new habit. We're good at what we got. We don't have time to do anything else. So you need a wedge, something that's going to move that in there to make it happen. And this book is perfect for that. It's wonderful reading. I mean, I can say that because, look, I compiled the book. I didn't really write the book. The stories were wonderful before I put them in there. And I had hundreds of stories, and I picked the best of those. They were already great. So you're guaranteed to read something that you're really going to like. It's going to have a positive impression on your life, things that are written by super successful people. And they're stories of people who failed and failed and failed and failed and just kept getting up and dusting their pants off. So it motivates you because you know these people, but you didn't realize that Hershey had failed in his candy business over and over and over. He went bankrupt several times. He lost his health because he was working too hard. He just continued to fail and fail, but he never quit. And now look, everywhere you go, you see the name Hershey. If you walk into any dollar store, grocery store, a drugstore, you're going to see Hershey. And it proves what will happen if you have that persistence, which is one of my 7 secrets of success, but that's another book. So it's something that's not just good for you. This book is wonderful to give to someone else. If you know someone that's business is struggling, or someone graduating from high school that don't know what they want, or college, or if you're older like me and you want to leave a legacy gift to some young person, when you give them a nice book, it's pretty much a guarantee they're going to keep it. They're going to put it in their bookshelf. 50 years from now, they'll pull it out and read what you wrote to them. So it's a wonderful legacy gift. But the best thing is, if someone's just getting started, a young person, don't know what they want, this book helps them decide. You can't read something positive every day about your major goal until you have a major goal. You have to first decide, this is where I want to go. You know, do you want to become a veterinarian? Do you want to be an engineer? Do you want to be a doctor or an attorney? There's a story in the book about Lincoln, he considered himself a floating piece of driftwood because he didn't know what he wanted. And he came into possession of some law books, Old English law books. And he read those and he thought, this is so interesting. So he started going to court and watching the trials and listening to the debates and watching the judge and the smell and the feel of the courtroom. He thought, this is where I'm supposed to be. I feel at home. So here's Abraham Lincoln with less than a first grade education. He's totally broke. He has very few human possessions, and he's deeply in debt. And he's in this courtroom and he says, well, I'm going to pass the bar. I'm going to become an attorney in Illinois. So once he made that decision, he started doing all the things necessary to make that happen. And it did. He became one of the best attorneys in the state, one of the top two. He was highly paid. Many people don't realize this, that before he was president, he was a very successful attorney. He wasn't that great a politician, but he was a successful attorney.
That's fun. I actually didn't know that either. So that's a really cool story. But you said right there, you said, in that example, you have to know what your goal is. And then earlier you said the number one habit was to read something positive that will get you closer to your goal.
Right.
So this seems to me like this book is in partnership with whatever else you're going to read along with your goal, because there's no way in the world this book could be specifically crafted for every single person's goal, but it's at least something positive. So how does that work? Have you seen people use it in that way where you read from this book and then you also go read with something in line with getting you closer to your goal?
Well, okay. The list of books in the back has some very powerful books, but they're generic. If you read The Magic of Thinking Big by Schwartz, it doesn't matter if you want to become an attorney or a veterinarian or what. It doesn't matter. The Magic of Thinking Big is going to help you get there faster. Or Think and Grow Rich, The Richest Man in Babylon, The Greatest Salesman in the World. All of these books are powerful. And the poems and the quotes, they help you get up every morning, dust your pants off, and regardless of how rough things get, they help you move forward. And there's a picture on the front of this book. I don't know if you noticed it. Can you see the picture?
The genie lamp. For those of you listening, it's a genie lamp.
Right. It's Aladdin's lamp.
Yeah.
And it's a story of a young man who came into possession of an old lamp, and he realized if you rubbed the lamp, that it had magic powers and it would give him anything he wanted if he said what he wanted. Until he said, this is what I want, he got nothing. So most people think that story has nothing to do with reality, but it does. Nobody's going to get anywhere. Nothing ever happens until someone makes it a goal. We're both looking at screens right now. Someone at some point decided, well, there needs to be a screen and we need to develop that. We need to make it available to the public. If they had never had that thought, we might not be looking at it, because every physical thing that's man-made started with a thought. And thoughts are very positive things. So this book helps you think, kind of like the book Think and Grow Rich. Well, that book's it's all about money. Think and Grow Rich is about, think of a sum of money that you want, when you want to get it, what you're willing to do to get there. That's good. That's great. But this book is not about money. This book is about anything, whatever you want. That's what it's about, moving you in that direction.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I love this topic. And like I said before, it is a simple habit that you can develop that will help you get that clarity to then go accomplish your goals and have that lifelong success. And it's one of those things that we just forget and we kind of put to the side. So I hope people really do listen to this episode and immediately go implement this habit. If they, however, want to implement this habit with your specific book, where's the best place they can learn more about you and go buy a copy of the book?
If they'll go to realimpactbook.com, then it says The Mystery of the Lamp. You can listen to that. It tells one of the lamps on the front. There's one part, the magic formula. So you click on that and it tells you the magic formula to get whatever you want by using the book. And there's a game on there so that you can win the audio book. If you scroll to the bottom, there's a link that says podcast attendees, and you get 3 free gifts with no strings attached. So be sure to check out your free gifts. Every month, there's a new ebook. I'm not sure. I think I Dare You is the free ebook this month, but they're very powerful books and they're free. All you have to do is just come back every month and download your new ebook, and you'll love that. Add to your library. You'll probably want to get the books because they're that good.
That's amazing. Dennis, thank you so much for being here, and thanks for sharing and compiling this book. I'm excited for your next book. What was it? The 7 Powerful Secrets to Success? You dropped it in the middle there.
Okay. The 7 Secrets of Success will be coming out soon. I also have one called The Laws of Nature for Success, which is a story about my mentor years ago was telling me about the laws of nature. And I said, "Where's the book?" And he said, "Well, it's a life study." So I did the life study and wrote the book. And then I have a real estate series, and then Real Impact 2, 3, and 4. If you like this one, it's a series. You'll like the others. And then I have a time management book called It's About Time.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Don't let writing those take 6 years. Let's get closer to the 2 months. We'll have you back on for another one. But Dennis, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Brandon. It was fun.
For those of you watching, listening, the link is down below in the show notes. Go grab a copy of the book. Go connect with Dennis. All the social media links and his website's down there. Thank you for listening, and please implement this. This is one of those episodes where you can turn it off and go do this right now. So please do that. And then we'll see you back tomorrow on another episode of Harmonious at Lunch.
Another episode of Harmonious at Lunch in the books. I hope this episode made you think and you grabbed some actionable ideas to propel your business. Don't forget to like, comment your takeaways, and subscribe wherever you're listening so we can help more entrepreneurs just like you achieve harmony in their life and business.